Welcome to the dAIEDGE second webinar, second Open Collaborative Projects webinar. With us, we have Alain Pagani, the project coordinator, and Veronica Gaziar, that will tell you a bit more about the Open Call and how to build a winning application. And we also have Nuria Passos, one of the technical partners, that will tell you a little about the virtual lab. So I think we can start the presentation.
Okay, I think I'm sharing. So let me just tell you a little bit quickly how this webinar is going to go. So as it is due, Alain will explain a little bit about the dAIEDGE project in general, not just the Open Call, because once somebody is selected through the Open Calls, they become partners of the dAIEDGE project in general. So it's nice to know about the project in general as well. I will tell you more details about the second Open Call, where to find all the information, and about the different processes that we go through in the Open Calls. Then Nuria will explain about the VLab, which is one of the tools that you will have access to in the Open Calls, and that's something that you may want to keep in mind when drafting the application. And we will I will explain how to apply step by step, and afterwards we will have Q&A. And any questions that we don't get enough time to answer will be taken note of, and we can include them in the FAQ document. Okay, so over to you, Alain.
Yes, thanks, Veronica. Just before I start, I see that someone is raising her hand, Caroline. And I don't know how we handle now the questions. Should we wait for the end of the presentation, or oh, the hand disappeared?
Yes, I think they can write the questions in the chat. And then
yes, the best is to write questions in the... Okay, perfect. Yes. I see. It's a mistake. Excellent. So welcome, everyone. I'm Alain Pagani from the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, DFKI, in Germany. And I'm the coordinator of the project dAIEDGE. And it's my pleasure to introduce the project to you. So dAIEDGE is a network of excellence. It's one of the many networks of excellence on AI. Our network is focused on distributed, trustworthy, efficient, and scalable AI at the edge. We are actually a consortium of 36 partners. I will not go through the whole list, but we have, you see here the logos of our partners through Europe. We have 14 research institutes, 10 universities, 9 industrial partners, 3 associations, and we come from globally from 15 countries with an overall budget of 14 million euro. You can also find more information on our LinkedIn account and the website. Next slide, please. I will continue with explaining that, well, there is a concept of network of excellence that is actually called the European AI Lighthouse. And EU is actually funding different network of excellence on different specific aspects of AI. Some of them have started up to 3 years ago. The first one, Taylor, Human AI, AI for Media, and such. And dAIEDGE is part of this family. We started a little bit more than 1 year ago. Among the new ones that are in the bottom, dAIEDGE, Enfield, and Elias. And as I said, each of them has a specific focus. Our focus, we are the only one of these networks that is focusing on AI at the edge. With this, I want to present you our objectives. So we have actually selected 6 objectives when we started the project. The first one is to reach scientific excellence, to have scientific progress on edge AI in many specific aspects, technological aspects of edge AI that are listed here. The second one is also to create a united community around edge AI, and we are actually partnering with other projects and communities to reach this through different events that I will present later on. We also have as an objective to create a research agenda, what we call the strategic research agenda, which is mainly a roadmap of important challenges and questions that have to be solved from the research perspective, and we communicate that to the EU through our different deliverables. And then the three other objectives are more practical. So the first one that we call lead by demonstration is that we are also actually creating demonstrator in what we call our pilots. I will present them briefly later on. We are providing a specific infrastructure for encouraging innovation. This will be presented also today, particularly the virtual AI lab. But also we try to federate different experiments, benchmarks, data sets to serve the community. And we foster the industrial ecosystem by joining bigger initiatives like AI on demand, but also creating incubators and also having different research grants. And one of the grants is today the open call. When we started the project, we were thinking about different challenges that are faced by the edge AI community and researchers and also industries. So here is globally the list of challenges that I will just name briefly. I will not go into detail, but we have the challenge of finding the right methodology and the software to run edge AI. Then you have, of course, all the development of hardware and how to provide infrastructure for this. The question of how to reuse and deploy easily the edge AI is also a big question. Then we have the aspects that are related to security, privacy, reliability that we also research on. Then the question on how to establish the capability, how to have the talents in Europe and be able to build it. And then the question of interoperability, how we can fuse together all these advances that are made by different actors in edge AI. The things that some of the things we are doing here, there is the AI virtual lab. I don't need to mention it because it will be presented in really detail, in much more detail later on. The second thing is that we are building and providing a marketplace together with the AI on demand platform. And we are working on an incubator to help small companies to start working with edge AI. The pilots. So here we are working actually together with our consortium on 3 pilots. Very briefly, the first one is about using drones, but also other types of autonomous agents like robots on wheels to do inspection and monitoring in global warehouses. The second one is using edge AI to do pre-processing on satellite images. So actually literally on the satellite, so you don't have to download the data before you process it. And the last one is the scenario of a smart city where we use edge AI in smart cameras installed a little bit all around this city to monitor traffic, pedestrian well-being, and so on. We are also, as a network, organizing quite a lot of events. So you can actually meet us in physical places. So here, a couple of examples that we have been conducting in the last year. Edge AI is a conference on AI at the Edge that we co-organized both in 2023 and 2024. So the last one was last October. We are participating to HighPeak workshops that we have been doing this in HighPeak 24, but also in HighPeak 25, just recently in January. Different other workshops driving next-gen AI technologies, and ADRA launch event, hackathons, the AI Treats workshop that took place in dAIEDGE in May 24. And yes, the last workshop we had was really recently in the HighPeak 25. Yes, and now it comes to the object of interest for today. We also organize different open calls. So the first one was actually an open call on exchange programs, and actually is finished, and we are about to kick off this project where different persons can travel to one of our institutes or partner to do up to 6 months exchange program to do research together. And the second open call, second and third, this is for collaborative projects, and this is what you will learn today because this is the topic of today. That's
Yes.
it, I think, from my side.
Thank you, Elaine, for introducing this project. And I'll take over from here and talk to you about the second open call for collaborative projects. My name is Veronica Gongshor, and I'm a project manager from Funding Box. We are the partners within the dAIEDGE project who are coordinating the execution of the open calls. So this open call, as you all know, started on the 10th of January and it will close on the 13th of March, sharply at 3 p.m. I know that maybe some of you are hoping that it will extend at some stage, but do not be expecting any extension. In this case, we will close it sharply. I'm sorry for the change in the editing of this slide. But I wanted to give you like a slight timeline of what to imagine that is going to come. So once we close the open call, we will do the first eligibility check. So just checking if you ticked all the boxes in the application form. We will do that in March. Then in April, it will be in and out of scope. So this is the first check to see how your application matches the overall scope of the project. And then it will go through an independent expert evaluation. So these will be people who are external from the project. They are not involved in the project. They need to be independent from the consortium. And that can take a while because we need to have a few of those evaluations. They need to be then not compared, but it will be an average of the evaluations. So just expect that you will not hear from us until May or even June, okay? So just bear with us. But what's important is that you hit all the boxes that we are expecting. So in terms of eligibility, the idea of this open call is to solve the industrial challenges, and these are collaborative projects. So you will be supported by the dAIEDGE project, and you will be solving some of the problems that have been identified by the consortium within the overall scope of AI at the Edge, right? And who the organizations or the types of organizations that are eligible is quite wide in comparison to other open calls. So you can be an SME, it could be academia or research and technology organizations. So we do not accept just individual persons, right? They have to be entities. But you can team up and it can be a consortium of up to 2 different entities. So if you are an SME that want to work with some research organization, that is absolutely viable option as well. Just make sure that you explain why this collaboration is beneficial, right? Why did you team up? That has to be quite clear in the application, especially when you're explaining the team, to show the benefit of that. The money that is being distributed is up to 60,000 per project. So if you team up, just keep in mind that you will be dividing that between 2 entities, right? So it now will be double of that. It's one project, and if you have 2 partners, you will need to divide it. It can be split half and half or whatever, proportion you decide as the consortium. The support program will last 7 months. So the first month is kind of just planning of the project, and then you have 6 months for the actual execution of the project. In terms of eligibility of regions, we will be accepting applicants from EU member states, of overseas countries, and the Horizon Europe associated countries. For the moment, New Zealand and Switzerland are not eligible because they have not signed the equivalent agreements. And also, what's important, Make sure that you have no conflict of interest with any of the consortium members. There are 36 members. You know, if you're a spin-off of some university and you want to apply, just make sure that there's no conflict of interest. Everything is explained in the guide for applicants. So just make sure that this is clear and you're not wasting your time and then being eliminated because of conflict of interest. Each single entity or consortium can submit up to 3 proposals, but every proposal has to be addressing a different challenge. If you apply to the same challenge and we find more than one application, either by accident or you didn't read exactly the guide for applicants, then only the most recent. So let's say not the older one will be discarded, only the most recent application will be taken into consideration. And if you're, you know, a superstar and more than one of your projects is listed as the final to be chosen for funding, then also we cannot fund one entity twice from the dAIEDGE project. So only one with the highest score will be able to go through the next phase to the formal check. So the scope of the project is quite wide. We have many challenges that the consortium has suggested. And the participants, or you as the applicants, you have to submit proposals for research and development activities to solve or push forward the challenges identified by the consortium, so they can either solve them or push forward, at least take the consortium a step closer to finding the solution. And you will see we have 20 challenges, which is quite a long list, and you need to be able to identify what suits best your solution. So just go through the whole list of the different challenges, and if you have an idea of how to solve that problem, you have something innovative, say, well, we could do it this way, then this is the challenge that you should be applying to. And 20 is it's a long number, so like there's a lot of challenges for you to choose from. So and also every challenge has quite a lot of detail of what is expected from you. It's not just a short description. You have the expected deliverable, so what will be expected from you. There's references for you to read different articles about the methods that have been already used to solve this, technical specifications, the requisites, even data sets that you can readily use. So just read really carefully and make sure that you incorporate all of this into your application. In terms of benefits, so it's not only about money, let's put it that way. Every project will receive up to 60,000 for 7 months of support program. And it's called support program because you will be receiving technical mentoring from the dAIEDGE technical experts. You will have access to some of the tools and many assets that have been developed, as Alain has explained earlier. I'm sure most of you have already visited the main project, the main OpenCall website, and you know where to find all of the information. So when you go into the Read First tab, you will find the guide for applicants, the FAQs, and the subgrant agreement. This is coming soon. We are still working on it, but the guide for applicants really is your Bible. This is a legally binding document. Everything that goes in there, we have to stick by, and also you as the applicant. So if you're in any doubt, just read carefully again the guide for applicants. And in terms of what we will be evaluating, the most important part are these 3 sections. So the excellence, impact, and implementation. This will be evaluated by the external experts. So let me just go through it again. When you submit the proposal, we will do a first check. So the first check is just to see that All of the sections of the application form have been filled out. It's all in English. You have ticked all of the boxes. Yes, I give permission for processing of data and all of that. So this is just a simple check. And then we will do in and out of scope screening. This is done internally by the consortium. So after this, some of you may be eliminated, but this is an important step in the evaluation, and only those that pass through the in and out of scope will go to the independent expert evaluation. And as I said, it can take a while, a good month or even more than that. And once we have the scores, we will have a consensus meeting and decide on the finalist. And as I said, you can expect that this will take about 3 months or so, because we are expecting quite a lot of volume of applications in this open call, so the competition will be fierce. After the evaluation, the process is not over. So it's not like you've been selected and you get your money straight away, okay? So when we get the provisional list, there's still a process of a formal check. What does formal check do? Formal check is a process where we do kind of like a financial check and so on, to make sure if you applied as an SME, we need to check if you really qualify as an SME. Also, there are some regulations about companies being in difficult financial situation where they would not be eligible to receive the funding, because it's risky for the European Commission to give money to companies who are in financial difficulty and so on. So there's another few weeks for that. And then there's another few weeks for the subgrant agreement signature. We need banking details and so on. And then we will start the support program sometime probably at the start of the summer or maybe midsummer, depending on what the beneficiaries want to do. Some of you may want to maybe defer the support program a little bit. And once you start the support program, the first thing you will be working on is the individual mentoring plan. So this is the 1 month where you just really sit down with your mentor and you create a really good plan of what you want to achieve, your KPIs, the different deliverables that you want to have. And just pay attention to the payments and the dates, okay? So the first stage, yes, you will receive kind of like a prepayment, which is about 9,000 euros. That will be done when you successfully pass stage 1. But then the stage 2 will last 6 months. So, and the payment will be done after you successfully implement this whole phase. So you need to kind of plan it in your cash flow and so on, that this money will come at the end of the program. And every payment comes after a milestone review. So once you submit your documents, the technical partner, who is your mentor, they're going to be the one reviewing it. And then the selection committee will have to approve this score and the decision, and only then you receive payment. So this is how the process works. But it's really worth being a beneficiary. So because you get access to all the perks, the technical support, and some really great tools as well. So one of the tools is going to be explained now by one of our partners, Nuria. So
yeah, hi everybody. This is Nuria. So I'm from the Applied Science University, Western Switzerland. We are the project partner, a technical project partner on dAIEDGE, and we are leading actually the development of this dAIEDGE virtual lab, which is a scalable virtual lab for remote experiments on different edge devices which have neural network accelerators. So maybe next slide, please. So what is the dAIEDGE lab? Actually, here we can see a figure on the side. So on the blues, on the top, the blue layers, let's say, of the virtual lab, we can see the remote interface, because actually through this virtual lab, you can't launch experiments in remote nodes. Remote nodes meaning remote edge devices that are physically not at your facilities, but you will have access to them. And then, through a user interface on the blue side, so you will be able to launch these experiments on the remote nodes. That's why we have these two on top, on bottom. Top is the user interface, and the bottom is the physical edge devices where you will launch this experience. So the goal actually of this virtual lab is to facilitate the experimentation with edge devices, because most of these edge devices you may not have them available at your facilities, and even if you have them available, to set up the whole environment to start working with them can be done cumbersome. So we put in place for you all these facilities remotely, and you can easily launch experiments on them. So the idea is to provide access to all these resources, tools, and services which are provided by these edge devices in a decentralized manner. So they are not located all at the same facilities, but for you as user, this is quite transparent. And also, if you want to be a developer of this virtual lab, so you could add your own edge device to the virtual lab so that other users can access to it and launch experiments on them. So this is, for example, the subject or the challenge number 4. This is about adding a new edge device to this dAIEDGE virtual lab. Next slide, please. So here we can see then a list of the type of devices, edge devices that we support currently. So we have different kinds of high-performance CPUs based mostly on ARM Cortex-A platforms or processors. We have also some GPUs from NVIDIA, like the Jetson Xavier or the Jetson Orin Nano, but also low-cost and low-power MCUs based on ARM Cortex-M family and also RISC-V, and also some embedded boards integrating the neural processing units like the STM32MP257 or the Qualcomm RB3. We have also the platform from Intel with a visual processing unit like the MediaTek, and others are coming since project partners are also integrating their own platforms like FPGA-based accelerators. These platforms, they run either Linux or embedded Linux, but they can be also real-time operating systems or even no operating system running on them. But all the setup is done by the owner of the node, so you don't need to care about it. And finally, also we support different runtimes. So like more vendor agnostic runtimes, and like Kubernetes runtime, TensorFlow Lite, TensorFlow Lite Micro. So it depends on the platform, but also some proprietary solutions for the runtimes like TensorRT, SQBI, or OpenVINO for Intel platforms. So here is an overview of the current existing platforms. As mentioned before, this will be increased during the project, and even you can become a developer and integrate your own platform to this virtual lab. For that, we have extensive documentation, which is already available. So in the description, for example, of the challenge, you could find a link to the documentation and other related information. But even now, before submitting your application, if you would like to start playing with this virtual lab or launching experiments, mostly for the very first moment, so we can't offer the service of benchmarking AI models. So this is the one which is currently available, this service. So, but you can already ask for getting an account and start launching model benchmarking experiments on the available platforms. So in this slide, so you can we can play a video actually where it explains in detail how to work with this virtual lab. I think we cannot hear the sound, so it may be because when you launch or when you share your screen, you have to click on sharing the sound. Veronica, maybe you can then reshare your screen and then.
Okay, I will do that. Let me
Yeah.
see. Okay.
Welcome to the video presentation
What?
of the dAIEDGE VLab. In this video, we will present the
Oh, right.
dAIEDGE VLab and its features. We will also explain the overall architecture of the VLab. To access the dAIEDGE VLab, you need to request an account from the dAIEDGE VLab team. Once you have an account, you can log into the VLab website and start using it. The VLab provides a user-friendly interface to configure and run benchmarks, visualize results, and compare different models and targets. So here is the web page of the dAIEDGE VLab. You can log in using this button. Once you're logged in, you can start a benchmark by pressing the button Start Benchmarking. This is the main page to configure and run your benchmarks. The first thing you need to do is to select a device from the available list of targets. The current list of targets seems small, but already represents a wide range of device types. For instance, there are microcontrollers from ST and NXP with very limited resources, right over there. There's also bigger devices like the NVIDIA Jetson Nano or the Myriad X from Intel. In fact, this last target was developed by Ubotica, a company that is part of the dAIEDGE consortium. Furthermore, thanks to the VLab architecture, you can expand the VLab capabilities by adding your own targets. This will allow your targets to show off its performances to the VLab user base. Once you select a target, you have to choose the runtime you want to use. Some targets have multiple runtimes available. Here, the Jetson has the ONNX runtime and the TensorRT runtime. Let's select TensorRT. Finally, you have to give the model you want to benchmark. Here, you must select a pre-trained model of a given type. In that case, the type is ONNX. Let's select the dAIEDGE GoogleNet ONNX. Once you've done so, you can start the benchmark. Once you start a benchmark, the virtual lab will look for the target you asked for. If it finds it, it will send the model and the configuration to the target. The target then runs the model and sends back the results to the virtual lab. Then, the web interface will display the results in a nice manner. While this benchmark is going, I will start 3 other benchmarks. Another benchmark with the Raspberry Pi 5, ONNX runtime, and this time around the same model. Then I'll launch another experiment with a microcontroller from NXP, using TensorFlow Lite and using a very small model. Go back and do the same with the ST microcontroller. Once they're all started, we can go in the History tab and we'll see all the experiments I've started. I can press on one to see if it finished. Here we can see the results that the Jetson Nano gave us for the dAIEDGE GoogleNet. We can see that the average inference time is 4.19 milliseconds. We can also see for every layer how long was the inference time. You can also look at the mean inference time per layer in this graph. Here all the layers are plotted, but you can also select only a few of them. On the History tab, we can see now that all the experiments are done. We can look at the mean inference time right from there. We can open the last experiment, the one with the ST microcontroller, and we can see that we also have access to all the inference time per layer. We can see here that we have also the minimum, the maximum, and other metrics. We can compare these results with the NXP experiment that we started too. Here we can see that we used the same model, the same engine, only the target differs. We can see that this specific NXP microcontroller runs this model twice as fast as the ST one. Sometimes, some of the experiments you try will not succeed. For instance, this one. We can see that the benchmark fails likely due to a lack of memory on the target. Furthermore, thanks to your account, all these results are available to you regardless of the device you're logged into. Finally, there is a complete documentation that explains to you how to request an account, how to use the VLab, or how to add a target to the VLab using the user doc or the developer doc. Thanks for listening, hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you a great day.
Thank you for watching. So I agree that it's a bit small maybe on your display, but also I put the link to the YouTube video on the chat, so you can then watch it then lately if you want, and if you have any questions, so don't hesitate to reach out. So we will happy to help you. And if you are interested to start playing with it, you can then also send an email to request the registration account, and then we will please. But you in this email, please notify that you are gonna apply to the open call. So because we are for the moment opening it only for project partners and open call beneficiaries.
Okay, thank you, Nuria.
Welcome.
Right, I'll continue from here. I'll tell you exactly how to apply to the open call. So it's easy. Just apply the apply now button on the web page. And one of the key things about it is please do not wait until the last minute to press the submit button. You can submit the application and then always edit it as many times as you want. So we want to avoid, you will have a timestamp, so you want to avoid any situation where you just didn't make it on time. Once you create the application form, you can see that all of these sections that are marked in red, have to be filled out. There's only one optional section, but we ask you to provide that information. And once you click on every section, you will fill out all of the information. It gives you a little bit of a tip of what should be included in that field. There is some limits of like 200 or 2000 characters and so on. Everything should be clear. If you find any technical glitch, please let us know. To the dAIEDGE help desk, you can find the email in the guide for applicants, and then you have to press save and continue, and then it will bring you to the next section. So you start filling it all out in your own time. And once everything is filled out, you can see that it will turn gray, and you can still edit it, right? So it doesn't close forever. You can still edit it, and you can even look at the history. You can also add people who can contribute to the application. And then once you press submit now, there will be a timestamp on the application. So it means that if you try to submit after the deadline, it will just not go through. The system will be blocked. So please do not wait until the last minute to submit your application. There will be another webinar, and you will have a last chance to ask your questions at the end of February. It will be around 11. So for people who have more time in the morning and not in the afternoon like now. And the information about registering for that webinar will be also on the Open Call website. If you're unlucky this time, there will be another Open Call coming at the end of the summer. It will be very similar to this one. We are still defining exactly how similar or how different it's going to be to the second Open Call. But the profile is quite like this second Open Call, and it will start at the end of the summer. And now I think we are ready for questions.
Yes, thank you, Veronica. I see that we have some questions in the chat, so I'll start reading. In Challenge 6, validate the proposed solutions using data sets from agriculture, solar panel inspection, and underwater structure monitoring, demonstrating real-world applicability. Will you provide the data sets?
I don't know the challenge on top of just out of top of my head.
I think that the challenges have been provided by different consortium partners. Probably the best is to have the answer from the partner that provided this to know if the data sets are provided or not. A generic answer is that it cannot harm if you also suggest data sets that can be used for validating your own approach, because depending on how you present it, you can also have maybe a slightly different scope, and maybe different data sets are more interesting. So to answer this precisely, I think we need to ask the challenge owner, but generally in the application form, you can also provide the information which data set you plan to use for evaluating.
Thank you.
And actually, this because I've seen maybe a couple of questions later, there is a question about if they can ask more questions and how we are going to answer them. So do we have an FAQ or something, I mean, that we can actually update? Because these precise questions about the challenges, maybe we will just provide the answer in a written form in an FAQ.
Yes. Yes, I will add all of the questions that we will have the recording, and I can go back to these questions and have a written out answer in the FAQs.
Thank you. I'll proceed. Should all proposals use virtual lab, or would using virtual lab count as reaching TRL4?
I mean, the RTL should be defined by its challenge owner. So this, if you want to reach a higher or the lower RTL, but I mean, in general, I would say that the usage of the virtual lab is not mandatory, other than if the challenge define it as mandatory, as it could be the number 4, where a new platform has to be added to the virtual lab. They are for sure you have to integrate your platform to this virtual lab. But on the other challenge, so it is not mandatory, but it can be a plus to use it, and it can be also useful for you to use it, in the sense you want to compare the difference of an A model on different embedded platforms, so you don't need to buy them, set up them before being able to launch the experiments. You can use the virtual lab in an easy way to have all these inference metrics back. So the general question is not mandatory. It can be a plus, and it can be also very helpful for you in some of the challenges.
Thank you. If and where can we send questions regarding the content of the open call use case?
Well, if the question is not answered in the description of the challenge, you can send it to the dAIEDGE help desk email, and if we don't have the answer, we can always forward it to other technical partners within the consortium, and it will take a couple of days before we get an answer, but we will forward it and get an answer for you.
Veronica? What is expected regarding competition in this paragraph? Applicants have to provide information about the degree of competition of their product service and why their idea is disruptive and breaks the market. They should explain why their products services can be differentiated from the competition, as starting in TRL 2.3, and we need TRL 4.5 at the end. What kind of market analysis, competition analysis is expected?
Well, I mean, we are looking for innovative solutions. So, of course, depending on the challenge, competition can be a company that already has a product that would have, of course, a TRL much higher, but your solution will be different, have an innovative aspect, and might have a TRL that is much lower. What is interesting for us is to understand how you differentiate from existing solutions. These solutions can be either already products, or it can be research papers, or it can be the result of other research. But for us, I think in this paragraph, what is important is to understand why your solution is unique and what makes it a better solution than other ones.
Thank you, Alain. In challenge 16, is it mentioned requisites, mandatory, data set of open water raw yield data with HAB and non-HAB events labeled. Does this mean that we are required to have such a data set beforehand, or do you refer to this data set that will be augmented within the project?
Okay, I don't have this challenge exactly in my mind, but I guess that it is the results of your project. That is a requisite on what will be delivered in implementing the challenge.
Thank you. I'll keep going. I work at a startup in Canada, collaborating on a joint project with researchers in Germany. How would you assess our team and proposal?
So I think it's probably, Veronica, you should answer regarding the eligibility, because I don't know if Canada is part of the eligible countries.
Yes, it really depends. We have to check carefully, because sometimes it depends if when the actual project like dAIEDGE was awarded. So it goes in batches. So even now we are in 2025, it really relates to a rule that was set up when the project was actually awarded by the European Commission. So if you have a specific question, if you had a look at the list of the associated countries and you look at, and Canada is not on the list, then you're not eligible. But if it's somewhere on the transitional signing agreements with the EU, to send us send an email to the help desk and we can ask the legal team what is the most up-to-date situation. Okay?
Thank you. Does publication play a role in the evaluation process?
The short answer is yes. If you have publications, it's always interesting for the evaluators to know what you have been publishing in the same domain. So yes, publication list plays a role, yes.
Yes, if I believe there's a space to update CVs of the team members, right? So it will be evaluated, the team that you have, yeah.
Thank you. The activities within the dAIEDGE project should start at the technological readiness level of 2 and 3 and to achieve a TRL of 4 or 5. Does it mean it is mandatory or preferred?
I mean, having done other types of open calls, we cannot prevent you to present us a product that has a higher TRL at the end of the challenge. It will be evaluated. So it means that the evaluator will say, okay, look, the TRL is higher. It's not in the range that was expected. I think if you reach a higher TRL, it cannot be counted negatively in the evaluation. So maybe short answer should be it's preferred. Higher is probably still better. If it's lower, I mean, you can still write it. We prefer honest answers with TRLs that are achievable rather than having TRLs that are not achievable.
Yes, I think I wanted to add, if you have a solution that is at TRL 7 or 8, which is kind of nearly close to the market, then we're not sure that this is the open call you should be aiming for. Maybe you will need some kind of different technical or business-based mentoring. So that's why it was designed that this is the ideal scenario. You go from 2-3 to 4-5. So try to aim for that.
Thank you. Each single applicant or consortium must select and reply in its proposal to one of the following industrial challenges. Details in Annex 1. Is it possible to consider different topics, like more in medtech? Thank you.
No, we don't have a category called other in this open call, unfortunately. So if it doesn't fit the solution that you have, it doesn't fit into any of the challenges, then it's not. I don't know, maybe it's an option for the third open call. It still hasn't been decided if it will be open, the open category of like other, but no, not for this one.
But also, I need to add that each single applicant can apply for up to 3 challenges in 3 different applications. And so this means in a single application, you need to choose only one challenge. And I think it's technically possible only to click one challenge. But as a consortium or a single applicant, you can apply to more than one, up to 3.
Thank you. Can companies from low-income countries outside Europe be part of the team?
What do you mean part of the team? I don't know what part of the team. Maybe send a question to the help desk and we can evaluate it.
I think
please.
that more generally, the consortium members can get funding only if you are in an eligible country from for the EU grants in general. And the list, as we said, depends also on the list of eligible countries at the time of signature of the grant agreement of the project dAIEDGE. And this we can verify which country are eligible and which not. If you have a member of the consortium that is part of the team without getting funding, so they ask for €0, I think this might be still possible to have a joint consortium where some partners are not funded by EU but are contributing. Maybe Veronica, you know more about this.
We'd have to check that with my legal team.
Mm-hmm.
It might be an option sometimes. I know that you can have a member who is not receiving any funding support, but I think they still might need to be from eligible countries.
Okay, so this will be detailed then in a FAQ.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we need to check that.
Thank you. Is a university considered one entity, meaning a university cannot submit more than 3 proposals?
So, Veronica, I'll let you answer. My opinion is that yes, it's a single.
Yes, my short answer is yes as well. It will have one, fiscal number, so it will be one entity.
Thank you.
And also, even if they apply to 3, as we said, if you're, wonderful and you are shortlisted for 3 projects, only the highest scoring will be awarded. So you will never get more than 1 grant.
Regarding previous question, does only one application from the same university gets funded?
Yes.
How can we access information about previous winners?
Well, we had so far one open call. It's for the exchange programs. As I said, we really just we kick off the process now. Let's say the projects, because the winners have been selected. They will be very soon communicated on our website, but it's not the same type of open call. It was for exchange programs and not for industrial challenges.
Thank you. A university with company A and the same university with company B, are they considered as the same entity or different?
I think that if, so if one, let's say, member is the common denominator in the 2 proposals, it's still counted as your second application. So you could have, let's say, one with one company, another one with another company, and then this company, these other 2 companies, they could have more, but not with the same university. You know what I mean? It's just simple counting like that. I don't know if that's clear.
Thank you. Is there a way for a few individuals, researchers from different research institutes to participate? What do they need to be considered an entity eligible for participation?
So this one is not for individual researchers. You cannot apply as a natural person. So you would need to apply as the research institute. So it will be evaluated then with their fiscal number, not the person applying. So this is a different open call, not for researchers, but for entities. Yeah.
Thank you. How is a new company without any financial turnover evaluated, especially when it is still in the idea stage?
It has to be registered. So it has to be registered at the time of applying to the open call. So it has to be a registered entity, not just an idea. It's written in on page 5 of the guide for applicants. There's lots of footnotes and links to definitions of what an SME is and when they have to be registered. So this is all in the in the guide for applicants.
Is the evaluation based on first come, first served, or all the proposals will be evaluated?
All the proposals will be evaluated. So all what we get will be evaluated, and there will be a shortlist.
Which is more beneficial for a team? Publications in the field related to one of the challenges, a GitHub page with software and hardware projects relevant to one of the challenges?
So this is a question that I cannot answer because it depends on the challenge, it depends on the publication, it depends on the GitHub page. So I think that the best is to put what you think depicts the best your advantage or why we should choose you for doing this challenge. It depends also on your situation. If you are a research institute, you will probably have more publications. If you are a company, you will have maybe less, but we will take all of that into account.
Thank you. Who is the owner of IP after the project is finished? Can you explain what kind of rights the author has once the project is finished?
So this will be described in the draft or the template of the sub-grant agreement. So we are still working on it with the legal team. So just watch the space and go back to the read first, and there will be a document there, and you will be able to read, and there will be clause about who owns the IPR.
Thank you. Does VLab allow for power measurement as well?
So this depends on the edge device and how it has been set up. Currently, I think there is one platform that allows it, but not all of them.
Thank you. It is also not clear how the money in stage 2 is used. Can we spend it on equipment or just traveling to another institution? How do we find an institution to work with during the project? If we are receiving money only after the project is finished, how can we fund anything?
I'm not sure I can answer this question because
there's a confusion between
yes.
the exchange program and the second open call, right? This one doesn't include going to any other institution. This is something you can do within your own working environment. So there's no exchange involved unless, particularly necessary in your plan. You plan to use somebody else's resources or whatever. But maybe just it doesn't make sense. But yes, that's how most of the funding works. That's why I kind of said you need to be prepared to have the cash flow and understand that most of the funding will come to you once you deliver. So it is not a loan, it's a lump sum model. It's been set up by the EC to simplify things for you. You don't need to then send any invoices for anything. As long as you deliver the results that you promised in the initial plan, it's evaluated positively by the mentors, then you will get your money in the lump sum. But at the end, once you deliver everything.
Thank you, Veronica. What was the success rate in the last call?
Do you remember, Veronica?
I don't know, but I just want to say it was very different open call. I wouldn't compare the first dAIEDGE call to this one. I would compare it to another call in one of the family of projects that you mentioned, Elaine. So I would compare it to Elise, and not to scare you, but it was very, very competitive. So we don't have the numbers for dAIEDGE to compare, but I think in the first dAIEDGE open call, the success rate was quite high. So 1/3, right? Like 30%. But in this one, I would expect to be, I don't know, less than 10. 1%, I don't know. Sorry, just
It depends on the number of applications and so.
yes, but I
Exactly.
expect high number, so I expect high number of applications.
Thank you. The challenge 7 is about synthetic data sets to enhance AI predictions. We should use a use case application to demonstrate the applicability of the approach.
This is up to the applicant to choose how they want to demonstrate. Using a use case application is not a bad idea. It needs to fit to the requests or the requirements of the challenge. So read carefully the challenge, and if a use case is provided in the challenge, then you need to stick with that use case. If it's not written, then you can, in your application, describe your own use case. And again, this will be evaluated by the evaluators.
Thank you. There are 16,500 staff members in my university. What will happen if two professors submit to the same challenge without knowing each other?
So technically, okay, first, I mean, the rule is that we cannot fund twice the same university or twice the same beneficiary anyways. This is a rule that is not set by us. We follow the general rule of the European Commission. So I understand the problem if you have a university with 16,500 staff members, but you need probably to communicate within your university that you are planning to submit in order to avoid the situation, because what will technically happen if two persons submit to the same challenge without knowing each other, still we will follow the rule that we described in the guide for applicants, which is the last one submitted will be the one that we will take into account.
Thank you. Any idea of what the third dAIEDGE open call will look like? Will it open beyond the narrow scope of the industrial challenges? Will Edge AI for medical applications be considered?
Might be. We are still in preparation of the third open call, and also we will finalize it with the, let's say, lessons learned from the second one. So now if we sense that Edge AI for medical application is an interesting topic, yes, we might add it. This is done within the entire consortium, so I cannot engage my word on this, but it's possible that we open also to open topics or to Edge AI for medical applications. But for that, you will need to stay tuned and check the third open call when it's published.
Thank you. How often do we need to give a report for the project?
Veronica, you...
Yes, I mean, there was, at the moment, it's still not defined. The support program is not defined very kind of with much detail yet. So in terms of payment, there will be only 2 phases of payment, but the deliverables may have kind of like an interim phase as well, which will not trigger payment, but which still might be a condition that you deliver, let's say, this part of the project after month 3, and then after month 6, when you have your demonstration, then you get payment. So I imagine there will be an interim evaluation as well. So maybe 3 times in the whole process: the first phase, interim phase, and the final phase.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Oh, I think something just came up. Do we need to give an account about the money, how we use it, as long as we give deliverables right on time?
There is a section for showing the for your budget, so you need to budget accordingly. There is a little bit of a guideline of how to calculate the budget, and everything kind of has to make sense. But no, you don't need to specify exactly how you spend the money. It has to make sense. But then the lump sum money simplifies that, so that we will not be expecting any invoices from you to check how you spent the money.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Quick clarification. There is 20 challenges and you select 10 projects, right?
Yes, this is it.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Maybe we can wait a few minutes. Will the third open call be open before the second is closed?
No, it will open at the end of the summer, so end of August. Think when everybody's back from holidays then.
Thank you.
So I think that if anybody has more questions, you can write to the dAIEDGE help desk, and we will make sure that we give you a good answer that clarifies everything.
Is it one last question? Is it possible to have access to this webinar?
Yes, Anna, right? We will be following up after this. Everybody who registered for the webinar will receive a link to the recording. We will also upload it to the OpenCall website, and you will receive the slides from the presentation. So you'll have everything and your Bible, which is the guide for applicants.
Thank you. We didn't enter for the first call. However, we have several projects that we can show as TRL23. Would it be enough?
Again, we cannot prevent you to submit a proposal with a expected TRL at the end of the project of 2 to 3. We explicitly mentioned that we expect an end TRL of 4 to 5, so this will be, of course, evaluated. If your proposal has other very good arguments or benefits, it might still be selected. It's not a no-go criteria, but it's preferable to stick to the expected TRL at the end of the project.
I don't see any other questions. So maybe, Veronica, we can close.
Yes, I think we can close this. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope we gave you some answers. I know sometimes they're very specific, so maybe we don't have the answers right away, but you can write to us and we will contact the right people who will give us definitive answers. And good luck, I suppose. So thank you for choosing us, and we'll see you around and maybe the next seminar, or just email us. Thank you, Elaine and Nuria, for being here and supporting Funding Box in this webinar.
Well, thanks, Veronica, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.